In a small village nestled between the rolling hills of the African savannah, there lived a man named Ego. He was a humble villager, known for his gentle spirit and unwavering kindness. Ego never sought the spotlight or fame, preferring to help others quietly, whether it was tending to the village's crops or caring for the elderly. His heart was pure, and the people loved him for it.
In the same village, there was also Adaya, a fierce and courageous warrior. Unlike Ego, Adaya was bold, brave, and always ready to defend the village from any danger. She was admired by all for her strength and courage, and she had saved the village many times from wild animals and bandits. But despite her strength, Adaya carried a heavy heart, as she had always believed that true strength lay only in physical power.
One day, a dark cloud gathered over the village, literally and figuratively. A fearsome drought had struck the land, drying up the rivers and turning the fertile soil into dust. The crops withered and the animals grew thin with hunger. Worse still, a group of raiders from the neighboring region learned of the village's misfortune and began to plan an attack to take what little resources the villagers had left.
The village elders gathered, their faces lined with worry. They knew they needed a plan to save their people. "We must rely on Adaya," one elder said. "Her strength will protect us from the raiders."
But Ego, who sat quietly at the back of the meeting, spoke up. "Perhaps we can protect our village not just with strength but with kindness," he said. The elders looked puzzled. How could kindness protect them from armed raiders?
Adaya, hearing Ego's suggestion, shook her head. "Kindness cannot stop a sword or an arrow, Ego. This is not the time for gentle hearts but for strong arms."
But Ego persisted. True courage, Adaya, is not always about fighting. Sometimes it is about showing compassion even when others expect you to be harsh. The elders were divided, but the raiders were approaching fast. In the end, they decided to trust both Ego and Adaya, combining their plans into one.
As the sun rose the next morning, the raiders appeared on the horizon, their weapons gleaming in the light. Adaya stood at the front of the village, her spear in hand, ready to defend her home. But Ego had a different idea. He had gathered the villagers to prepare a feast, using what little food they had left, and invited the raiders to sit and eat.
When the raiders arrived, they were shocked to find not a frightened, defenseless village, but one that welcomed them with open arms. The raiders hesitated. Adaya, standing ready to defend the village, waited for a signal, but Ego approached the leader of the raiders calmly and offered him water and food.
"Why do you not fight us?" the leader asked, confused.
Ego smiled gently. "Because in our village, we believe that there is enough for everyone, even in times of hardship. Take what you need, but share with us in peace." The leader of the raiders was taken aback by Ego's words. He had expected fear, resistance, maybe even a battle, but not this. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. His men followed suit, and instead of raiding, they accepted the villagers' hospitality.
As the two groups sat down together, sharing food and stories, something remarkable happened. The tension that had filled the air vanished, replaced by laughter and understanding. The raiders, who had once been enemies, realized that they didn't need to fight to survive. They could work together with the villagers.
Adaya, who had been watching from the side, approached Ego with a newfound respect. "You were right, Ego," she said, lowering her spear. "Kindness has a power I never understood before." Ego smiled. "True strength, Adaya, lies not just in our arms, but in our hearts. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is show kindness when it's least expected."
From that day on, the village and the raiders forged a strong alliance. Together, they worked to survive the drought, sharing resources and protecting each other from future dangers. Adaya learned that courage came in many forms, and Ego's quiet kindness became just as valued as Adaya's warrior strength.
The story of Ego and Adaya became a legend, passed down from generation to generation as a reminder that true courage and strength are found not only in battle, but also in acts of compassion and understanding.
And so the village thrived, not through force or fear, but through the power of kindness and the courage to believe that even the hardest hearts could be softened by love. And that, dear child, is why you must always remember to lead with kindness and strength, no matter what challenges you may face. For in the end, it is the heart that truly makes a hero.